Okay, we're almost there, guys. Almost there. Let me get up to these docs. Okay, 4 o'clock. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. I'll keep saying it all day until it gets all right. Hello, hello. This is Steve Olivieri, and this is Sunlight on Chaos. Sunlight on Chaos. Yes, I think it's a good balance to try to have with the reality of the chaos. We need sunlight. My little card I'm going to get made up, Sunlight on Chaos. See, that's me in the dark, and that's the government at night, but then the sun comes through even at night, right? Anyway, sun can come through at night. Hey, there's sun showers. There's sun all over the world, 24 hours a day, right? In any event, welcome, welcome. And I'm going to try something a little different today because it's been so political, and that seems to be my main thing, obviously. And it's, and blue was great the other day. Congratulations again to everybody. And it's about time we get some mojo going, and because we need it. So in any event, I've been hacking away at that. And then I went over a couple of times some things about getting into the weeds with Trumpelstiltskin and his wars and everything. And I went into quite the weeds yesterday about it. So I'm going to try to keep it a little lighter today and even just go out of the news a little bit and into some other things. But I'll get some basics rolling here. So let's do that, right? And I think since it just came over the wire today, we should play this little clip for you with about Nancy Pelosi. When was she gonna end? My God, I think she's like 85. So, God bless. How do you even get to the office at 85? I'm 60. I just turned 60. 25 years. If I can make it to Capitol Hill, oh my God, I'll be a lucky man. Anyway, so here's just a little momentary little splash. Let me go down to this.
The most powerful women in politics, Nancy Pelosi, announcing she will not seek re-election. The 85-year-old Pelosi is the only woman to ever hold the title of Speaker of the House, holding that position from 2007 to 2011 and then again from 2019 to 2023. She's represented the same San Francisco district for 38 years, being re-elected 18 times. In her goodbye announcement this morning, she spoke about the city she served.
After all, San Francisco is the greatest city on earth with the most extraordinary people on earth, and a place that I will always believe is heaven on earth. Thank you, San Francisco, for trusting me to be your voice in Congress.
Wow, that's amazing. So the thing is, she's going to be still around until January 3rd of 27. So that's all of next year. And so she's going to be here the whole year. She's not getting out like, in January 3rd of this year. So it was a whole other year. And we need her. We need her. We need her because it's going to be a bumpy year. And I was always wondering about her, if she's, talking about, her final year now. And I wonder if maybe she's just so smart all the time that she's just letting everybody get over the initial angst of it all and, the end of an era, which it is. And as the sadness fades, we get back into gear later this month and in December and then forge into 26. 26, imagine that. Less than 2 months away, 26. And so what I'm wondering is if she, wants to get that out of the way, and then having unlocked that news, she can sort of lock in for the year. And basically the idea would be go after Trump as hard as humanly possible, and then not just unload that information during the year. At least we know what's going on with her. So I can only expect that if she's got this last year, I don't want to call her a lame duck. She's a dove. How about a lovely dove? She's a lovely dove. And if I were her, she doesn't have another year after that, then take him to test, do everything. She's been really good. She's already outsmarted him half the time or most of the time. But, he still plods on like a slob. So go, Nancy, in your final year, take him apart, help everybody, keep him way down to earth, deflate that orange balloon, take that air out of the orange balloon. And just bear with me for 1 second. I am just going to be like this about chats. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, someone says you can really say what you really think when you get older. Very good. Very good. That's right. So, I survived an aneurysm last year, and I just turned 60, and that's a great point because, I've been around, and that's why doing this show, I feel like ready for a show like this because I've collected so much data up here, and I've been a contractor, I've been a filmmaker, I've been classically trained on clarinet, I've traveled around the world. I've done a lot of things, enough things to give me perspective, to have the confidence to talk about things from my experiences and perspective. So, and of all people, she does concerning Trump and whatnot, so I hope she really unloads. In any event, good for her for all these years. And, God bless her husband again, and everything he went through. So, let's do a little bit on these tariffs. I'm not even going to play. This is funny. I'm not even going to play a clip from the, Supreme Court today. They're getting around to the tariffs, right? So, basically, they're getting into the weeds today about licenses and license fees and all of this stuff and back and forth. Thank God Neil Katyal is there. He's really good and he's holding up really well. It's sort of like I say it's hard to watch because you're not really watching anything because it's like audio only, and you just get these either their quotes, or their photos or whatever. So I've always thought even the Supreme Court, why can't they finally take that visually all the way and, add that in? Not a big deal. I would love to see some of the justices squirm in their seats, either in response or trying to come up with some ingenious thoughts. Just because they're on the Supreme Court doesn't mean they're the smartest people in the country or in the world. Okay, so with that said, speaking about these tariffs, and I do want to speak to tariffs in a minute. I'll play these small businesses. It's so sad that they're getting hit. Of course, they're getting hit the worst. They're not going to go offshore. They're not going to move their companies. They're not going to build maybe a new company. They're already here in their existing companies. So they're getting nailed. One of my businesses is getting nailed that I used to do more of. I can get into that some other time, but it just ticks off. You could just feel the economy bubbling and not bubbling, and it's not bubbling. So here is this wine cellar in California, and let's see what he has to say about what's going on with this poor guy.
Phoenix Energy, a family-owned oil company focused on unleashing American oil from North Dakota and Montana. We've already...
We begin with that high-stakes Supreme Court case over President Trump's tariff policies. CBS News chief legal correspondent Jan Crawford spoke with one of the business owners challenging the Trump administration in court.
We have wines from all over. You see Japan, sake.
Victor Owen Schwartz is the founder of VOS Selections, a wine importer who says President Trump's sweeping tariffs are crippling small businesses. Schwartz, a lead plaintiff in the Supreme Court case, is canceling some orders from the European Union because he has to pay tariffs of 15%.
That means the container arrives at the port, and then you have to pay that up front. You don't get your container if you don't get it, if you don't pay them. So where is that all that extra cash flow?
What is your fear?
Fear is companies like mine going out of business, or
right. So case in point, that's not only the fear of a lot of small businesses, that's what they're actually going through, right? So companies, this is back to when this all first started, and now it's starting to double down and double in, and Christmas is right around the corner now, so we'll see what happens, how everybody's made their pre-adjustments, if you will, and this is not going to be a pretty thing. So this is my thought on tariffs for a moment. Tariffs, yes, as Hakeem Jeffries says so simply, tariffs are taxes, or Neil Katyal, he did yesterday, point blank, they're taxes. Okay, and so let's just take China, whatever, and so we put a tariff on some of their goods. So that's basically like, us saying it's China, or to our own country, oh, well, these products are going to be more, so you're probably not going to want to buy these as much. So that's the incentive plan. That's the idea, is that it's an artificial surcharge to the importers, and then whatever they can't stomach, of course, they give back, they push on to the consumer, to us. So tariffs are another way of saying, oh yeah, look how expensive some of those things, or that bottle of wine is getting from, France, so we're going to up it, and you don't want to buy that bottle, or these things from China, you don't want to buy that. What about things we really want to buy? What about some good cheese? They're going to tariff that from France, no, don't buy that cheese. So they like start dictating through the amount of money that we're going to have to pay. So now it's like, oh, do I want to get, cheese from, Swiss cheese or French, or Gruyere or Camembert or whatever, it's sort of like, no, we're going to make this more expensive. Now, of course, there were over the century, targeted tariffs. Okay. We know that. And for very specific reasons. And, there are things like the steel, iron industries, at times tariffs are good for pointed, targeted moments for a short period of time. Okay. But, this, again, going back to the wrecking ball, it's always like the wrecking ball with him, there's tariffs everywhere, all over the place. I mean, and I sort of like, if I might say, to watch these people squirm, trying to be polite in trying to, give a definition of what Trump is doing. Remember he had that board in the beginning, he had this huge board, and he held it up, and he's like, oh, look at all this 30, 40, 20 over here, this, that, and the other, look. And it's like, it's a madhouse. So, we're going to obviously see in the holidays how things are going to, come down. And, and he's like, oh, the turkeys are going to come down. Okay, really? Okay. He talks about gas. Well, come out to LA here. Okay, it's still, it's creeping into the $4. There's still $5 a gallon gas all over LA. So, maybe in Alabama it's $2.75, $3.50. Okay, it's $4.50 out here. So he, again, with the sweeping generalizations, he just, it's like, it's putting like just a moron up in a chair, up in front of a mic. He should know a little better, and try to be a little more specific. I've said this past few days about specificity and not just general comments. So in any event, I do like to do this thing. I know that the Congress is shut down, but I have been getting through to a couple of representatives' assistants and about these healthcare subsidies. So there's still a tiny bit of time here. I think once they come back in session is when I'm really going to go after them. And I do sort of bring this up every day, but I find it rather entertaining. I hope you do too, because I really would like you guys to tell all your friends to do this. Not hard. House of Representatives, usrepresentatives.gov, and senators, ussenators.gov. They're all reachable. They all have their own individual phone numbers. So I played a recorded one I did the other day because I had to get up here early to get into their offices before their offices on the East Coast, like, Alabama or Florida, before they closed. But California has a couple of offices here. It's like 4:15 Pacific time. So out of all these Democrats out here, yes, in the 3rd district and the 5th district, there is Kevin Kiley and Tom McClintock. It's a familiar name. And I'm going to blow through it. I'm going to call them. I'll put it on speakerphone. I constantly am trying to figure out how the audio works with this. I'm just doing it the old fashioned way. Speaking of audio today, lots of talk about audio. And I'm going to get into audio with cell phones. Little historical thing today about that. But let me call both of these right in a row, like bang, bang, bang. Okay. And these two. So I'm not going to start and stop. I'll just go through one. I'll do one like sort of on script that I wrote, and y'all can write that. Been talking about this, and you can write your own. And again, when we finally get them back in, maybe we'll get somebody. But even in the what's really a panic time now, it is still important right now to try to even get messages to these representatives' assistants, about getting the health subsidies, just tacitly agreeing to it, because it's happening right now with the subsidies before suckering the Democrats back in to a continuing resolution. And that's ridiculous. No, just agree. Have some balls. Agree to it. Just agree to it. And then, okay. And then there's SNAP and WIC. And now it's not even, what is it, Thursday? It's not even the end of the week. But Merry Christmas for the end of the week. They're going to, tomorrow, 40 airports, they're going to chop out 10% of the flights. So, what the hell is that all about? Is there a silver lining? Is there any sunlight on this? Maybe. Sorry to all these people tomorrow and throughout the weekend, but maybe by Thanksgiving, this will have gotten so bad and so ugly that maybe they'll get this cleared up for the, as we all know, massive Thanksgiving rush with flying. Maybe people have to drop their tickets. Maybe they can get refunds, and then they'll have to drive and then spend gas anyway, and turmoil and on the roads and bleh. So God bless whoever's going to their folks or their friends or whoever's houses for Thanksgiving. But hopefully, let's hope we can get out of this by then. It's already now officially the longest shutdown in American history. So Trump, it was the longest in your first term, and now it's the longest one ever. You've beat your own record in your first term, 1.0. I'm going to call you at 1.5. I'm not even going to say 2.0. That's too attractive and too complimentary to you. So now you've outdone yourself, jackass. So let me see if I can get through to an assistant here. Like I said, first one I'm going to do on script, and allow me, folks. I'm going to dial this right up, right in front of you guys. And this is, again, Representative, this is California. You guys can take care of a lot of East Coast states. Representative Kevin Kiley. And, okay, so let's go. So he is at 202 225 2523. Now, I've been getting my muscles built up doing this, so I'm getting a little less nervous. I don't have...
The Washington, D.C. Office of California's 3rd Congressional District. For the most up-to-date information or for scheduling requests, please visit our website at kiley.house.gov.
Got his machine.
If you are a constituent and would like to leave a message for Congressman Kiley on a pending issue, please press 1. Please be sure to leave your name, email address, and phone number where we can reach you. If you would like to speak to a member of our staff, please press 2. If you would like to...
Oh, that's a new one. I mean, I have gotten staff, but not after all that. Let's see if anybody's still on. Okay.
I'm sorry, extension number 5253 didn't answer. You've reached the voicemail of Honorable K. Kevin Main Line. Please leave a message.
Okay. Dear Congressman Kiley, oh, you've gotten away with your tax breaks for your cronies, but you need to extend the healthcare subsidies now. And now SNAP is in a shambles. WIC, the airports, just have to pull it together for all of these reasons. This is not open up the government first and then let the healthcare subsidies die in committees and diversion tactics. No, it's make a real deal first and at least tacitly and publicly agree to extend them and then just open up the government back up where you already control the House, Senate, and White House. This is not a forever game where Lucy keeps pulling the football away from Charlie Brown at the last minute. No, agree in advance first now so we have something to hold on to, okay, going forward, and extending these subsidies first so there will be no games, okay? That's all it's been with you guys, so enough already. Thank you. Okay, now, what's my chat window? Okay, back up. Now I'm just going to go right into this other one, and I'll just, if you don't want to write a script out and follow that, they're not going to interrupt you. So they'll let you speak, and they literally all, like every single one I've talked to of the assistants, all take, I've asked them explicitly since I started to learn that all of them are taking notes by shorthand. This is what they say. Maybe they record it. Maybe they do whatever. But, it's actually, I thought about it. So I thought, oh, with the shutdown, what's the point of trying to get an assistant? But then it's like, well, sure, this is a great time to call and get an assistant if she'll give the note to the representative during the shutdown. Because obviously we should be calling them all year long to wear them down for the 26 midterms about other issues. But so I'm just gonna do this one like off the top of my head, and it's a different version, right? So here's another one. This is Tom McClintock, and 5th District. Okay, 202, 202, 202, 225, 225. Starts like, they all start like that, and then they have their 4-digit extensions. 2511, 2511. So all you have to do is dial the number, and let's see what happens. They're all different. Speakerphone. Okay.
Thank you for calling Congressman Tom McClintock's Washington, D.C. office. If you're receiving this message during normal business hours, it is due to a high volume of constituent phone calls. Please leave your message after the tone.
Yes, Representative McClintock. This is Steve, and obviously calling about the fact that you guys are continuing to play your game, and with the holding up on the subsidies, you can get something drafted. Think about this, guys. I mean, Representative, you guys are getting all this money into the Treasury, right, from these crazy tariffs. Well, obviously that will help bolster against the crazy tax breaks, right, that you've been giving your cronies. And think about this. So there'll be money around to catch up and continue to extend the healthcare subsidies, the ACA subsidies, right? That's all Trump is bragging about, is money that's coming in. So you can't come back with, you don't have money. Money's flowing in, and so let's just use it in the best way possible. And let's put SNAP back up or reimburse it. Get it back up, though. I mean, people are on the streets. They're all out at the lines, at the banks, the food banks. So just do it already. Stop playing the games. You guys control the House, the Senate, and the White House. Stop doing this. You know how to do this. You can't throw it at the Democrats. That's garbage. You guys just snap it together. You're killing everybody out here. I didn't even say goodbye. That was just sort of going off on like an emotional moment, because it's, if you want to do that, you can do that too. I mean, instead of constantly reading a script all day, I mean, that can get worn down, but I know I could go through 10, pardon me. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Just bear with me. Sorry. I was bleeding into another story. Shows what happens when you play with your headphones, your earbuds. Anyway, so I think I've said enough about it, but you can go through 10 people. You'd be surprised if it's about 2 minutes a call. it tends to, excuse me, it tends to be what it works out to be if you just go right through them. You take 20 minutes, you take a half an hour. Woof. You've gone through 10 representatives. Excuse me. Guess I got a little jumpy on the phone calls. Yeah, it takes a little energy, a little passion. But once you start rolling with it, maybe you'll cough less. And, unlike myself, I was to keep talking because I don't have anybody on the other side of the screen. But, and just lost my little docs again. Okay. Got it. All right. So, okay. Thank you, chat room. And, so everybody can do this. Everybody can do it. All of us can do this. This is the goal. Wear them down all year, Maybe you do a few one day and you don't do it for a few days. Obviously, you want to do it Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 in their time zone, right? Just remember everybody's time zones. Okay, time zones. Make sure you're calling at the right time. I just tried to sneak those in just now. But earlier this morning, let's say tomorrow morning, I'll come back tomorrow and watch. I'll call some in the morning, first thing in the eastern states, because they'll already be in office in gear. It'll be 6, 7, 8 a.m. for me, but I can call that direction. And you guys can certainly call, any direction that suits where you're calling from. And so, yeah, enough said of that. And we did speak about Nancy and the airports. Yeah, so, it's funny with the Supreme Court. It's like one of these few places left that doesn't allow cameras. So it's all like, just audio only. So I don't know why I've been wanting to talk about this, but maybe it's just something a little different than politics every single day. I mean, at least not the entire show. But it reminded me the audio stuff of restrictions, right? And so going back to phones, okay, so if you are 60 or older, obviously, well, if you're really old, I think that people who were alive before phones were invented in the first place, whatever. I can only speak from where I'm coming from. And I did grow up in a house with a phone with a landline. Now, people that are roughly around my age, you might just remember this no matter what age, if you look back. I remember we had one where in my town where I lived, it was big blue and it had, a silver little clip on it with a phone clipped onto. And then it had like a 7 or a 10-foot, one of those squiggly lines that came out of it. Remember those? And it was on the wall in our kitchen, like in the kitchen, when my folks were trying to cook. So it was just really all over. So we would take the phone line and drag it into the living room area. A small house, lots of kids, always trying to figure this phone thing out, get on the phone. And remember that people would call up. And if you were outside playing or running around or doing something, you leave a message with, the person's mother, and then you come home and then you try to call, you keep trying to play back and forth, right? So I was around certainly in my 20s when the first cell phones started to come out. The first cell phones. This was in the mid to the late 80s. And I know a number of you recall that. And the first ones were really, really heavy and bulky and really expensive, like $4,000 for a phone. Oh, well, now they're up to $1,000, right? So money goes in, goes out, goes up and down. But 4,000 back then was a lot. So not everybody was getting them. Now people put so much, prominence and weight behind their phones. And this is what I sort of wanted to get into a little bit of is, this thing about the cell phone disease, the nose in the phone thing. It's like we had the phones we had, and then we went on about our business. It wasn't all of this all the time, just always like, oh, I have to always, like, I even have paint on mine. Like I give a crap, right? Maybe that's hip to have paint on it, right? Anyway, but everyone's down like this. Everyone's doing this. And it's the cell phone disease. And when the cell phones were coming out in the 80s, I was getting in and out of college, and I was busy and getting ready to do a film and stuff. And but I was noticing the phones coming into play. And I predicted this even back then. I said, this could be really great and really interesting, sort of like walkie-talkies, Okay, that's fun on one hand. Remember the old can to can, with the fishing line, but and walkie-talkies and then cell phones. So, but I said to myself, this could be really good, or this could really bend towards the narcissistic side of people, of us, and these emotions, anger, jealousy, narcissism, me, I'm so important. And look what happened. And now it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And, the stories. I mean, last year when I was sick getting over my surgery, I remember I was so frail and everything. And I was walking down the street, and this young guy, 20 something, is walking right down the sidewalk. I was trying to just get to the bank. He's walking, and I'm 6 foot. So I do have a frame. I was just like 30 pounds underweight and just shaking in the cold. And this kid just has this, his phone is like this, and he's looking down, and I even saw him cross the street to get onto the sidewalk where I was, down like this, not even looking. And you can see that everybody's doing it today, right? This is like been going on now for a long time. And in LA, do you think New York is tough with that? No, LA is ridiculous, like just zombie effect. So I'm trying to get to my bank. Kid's coming down the sidewalk, and he's like 5'5", maybe. I'm 6 foot, and I'm trying to shift over, but I'm getting against the wall, and the kid, like, he's not looking, and he's coming right at me. And I literally just clear my voice. I'm like, and I think I said, dude. I got that out. I was able to get that out, even when I was ill last year, and I had to yell at him to get his attention. And he was like, oh, sorry, man. Oh, sorry. And I was like, and I looked down at him, and I was like, I stared at him, and I said, can you just look up? Can you just look up? Just look the hell up. So, it's just, that's a whole other thing. And I'm going to want to get into video games maybe tomorrow or next week. But you could see how people are just addicted to their cell phones. And the whole thing, I like the idea about turning off the cell phones in school, because that's like the last bastion. That's it. That's all. That's like, because of course they're going to have it on before school. And of course they're going to, have it on after school. The other thing would be an age range. I mean, there's been age ranges for cigarettes and driving permits and driving licenses and drinking. So we do try to have some sanity. That's what it's about, sanity. We do try to regulate things, right? Where it's helpful and effective. And the seatbelts, remember when there weren't any seatbelts? Some of you do. And then they got seatbelts, and then deaths went down, due specifically to certain deaths as for when people wore their seatbelts. So things work, things mean things, and things help. The thing about an age range, this is a generational thing. So this can be tripped out every 10, 20 years. So if this can be gradually sort of put into place where, kids can't get to their phones when they're like 4 or 5, I mean, read them a book, have a tablet, right, folks? It's so much about parenting, and it's so much about working with your kids and being present and being there, not just leaving the boob tube on and walking out of the room, not just flipping them a phone or a tablet that you haven't gone over that has all of this has porn on it. Oh, you didn't set the filter to take the porn off? So a 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old you forgot. Well, it's on you then, parent, because, the kid can't go out and buy his own phone at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. You can do a lot as a parent. So I implore you parents to pull it together. Don't just throw things recklessly at your kids like that, and if we can get Congress to move on this and just, notice. And this is, I'm being like a conservative liberal. Is that possible? I don't know. A conservative liberal. Okay, so moderate. Yeah, because and I'll give the conservatives like tiny bit of something, because sometimes they'll have an inkling of an idea that has some merit to it. Nothing I'm talking about today too much, unless they want to join in. But just to say that there should be some regulations with cell phones doesn't make me any less of a Democrat. It makes me level-headed and, let's say, moderate about that issue, right? So this is a big deal. And I think going forward this year, we should really bring up cell phones all the time, because I think it's starting to destroy our country and, civilization on one hand. In the poorer countries, it helps them in many ways. Well, then you go to Hamas, and then that helps Hamas. So it's like it does get out of control when we're in the adult world. But for kids, 3, as soon as they, 2, as soon as they stare and they get glazed into a window screen, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, obviously we know better. And this is what I meant about turning 60. It's like, I was thinking things about this 30 years ago when I was 30 in the 90s. Okay, let's take it back to, 1980. So, 1990. So that's 35 years ago. 40 years ago, you could see that these things were going to happen if they weren't sort of dealt with properly. So, and in that essence, I think there's a lot of things we should be taking up this year. And obviously, when we get the House, I think it'd be good to get the House and the Senate back, obviously. I think we should not just be thinking about the House. I will say I do like Hakeem Jeffries. He's been kicking ass lately. And, you don't really watch people if they're sort of quiet and they're sort of, he's not one of these big showy type guys up there. But, man, when he talks, he's just level. Of course, he has to play the game a little bit with them, and he has to say what needs to be said. But if you watch him really think and speak, he's so centered, about the issues. I think, and I see clips of him and Pelosi smiling, and you could see this mutual admiration. And, if he's anywhere, if he becomes House Speaker and he's anywhere as near as good as she was, we'll be in really good shape in the House and, after the midterms. So, yeah, fingers crossed. And also, I will draw back to the Senate. What's to stop the Senate? Look, I know people have their little Schumer comments and this comments, and, and everybody's getting older, and, where's the House? And, but then it's funny because then you have like, AOC and Bernie. Okay. And then, are they the opposite ends of the age spectrum over there in Capitol Hill? Go AOC is on the things you're good at. Bernie, keep hacking away. I mean, he I don't want to say he's like a broken record, but, frankly, it's like you have to bring up things so often, and he talks about all the oligarchy. And so, speaking about that, money just gets its little way into everything. It is this root, the love of money, right? The love of money. Money does get things done. We understand that. It makes the world go around, even if it's dealt with in unscrupulous, idiotic terms. Couldn't even get it out because I started thinking about Trump. He just sort of starts to make me gag a little bit, Start gagging when I think of Trump the Grump, Mr. Frump. So the thing I wanted to say is, just because there's news like this, which you may or may not want to hear this, but somebody's saying critical thinking is important to learn for our future as a country. All right, so let's stop right there. This is on the chat. Critical thinking is important to learn for our future. Oh, to learn for our future as a country. That's right. So that's like, out of the womb, your children. Sorry about that. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, and they get right into nursery and kindergarten, and as soon as they are able to develop the most earliest aspects of critical thinking. Of course, engage, and then it's as if people sometimes get it and then they lose it, or they get the narcissism creeps in, or money creeps in, and they trade their critical thinking, for money, ego, narcissism, fame. It's where things can get out of control. So we have to keep things really under a really clear lens, keep shining the light down on these issues all the time, all year coming up. So I appreciate that on the chat. I like to see some chats coming in here. And so this is something that I know you're not going to want to hear about it, but it sort of speaks right to what I was just talking about. And okay, I'll just play it.
You need conversational AI with natural language processing and pre-built intent data.
The real issues are that we are increasingly living in an oligarchic society where a handful of billionaires who are incredibly greedy, these are not nice guys, want it all.
So now Bernie Sanders might have a trillionaire to worry about on top of that.
Great.
Tesla could give Elon Musk the chance to become the world's first trillionaire. Shareholders are currently meeting to vote on Musk's new pay package. It could be worth nearly $1 trillion in stock over the next 10 years.
Sorry, I had to give her that. Over the next 10 years. All right, so a lot of this money, it's way up in stock, and with Tesla. How funny how he came from Tesla with all his money and pushed his way in, and Trump's eyes opened up, and, oh, look at this guy, the richest man in the world. So, of course, Trump has to align himself with the richest guy in the world, because that's what Trump wants to be. And he wants to be an oligarch and and an autocrat like stupid Putin, Stoopy Pooty. Poo-poo. I'll just call him poo-poo. That's perfect. Poo-poo. Yeah, Trump and poo-poo. And, and people like Kim Jong-un, just like a little psychopath, like what I called him yesterday, just running around like a Tasmanian devil, so, and again, they're on top of the money thing. So money can corrupt. I remember when I was just, younger, I was 30. Oh no, I was 28. And I was getting a movie ready, my first film that I was going to direct. And a producer came on, bar owner, a really cool guy. And he said, what do you need? What do you need to get through the next 3 months to prepare or to continue? Sorry, we had shot. Now I'd run out of credit cards and all of my money at that point, and just was just really beleaguered at that point. And I met him. And I said, yeah, I could show you a clip of my film. And he said, I like it. He said, listen, and he just said, what do you need to get through the next 3 months so you can get into editing and try to wrap this thing up? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I was trying to do my expense report in my head. And I was thinking, even back then, I don't know, I'm thinking 3,000, or so. And I was like, I looked at him, I'm like 5 or 10,000. So he's like, wait. And he goes in the back room. And he comes out literally, I'm not kidding, it's like 30 years ago. And he comes out with this type of shoebox, and he's counting some stacks, and he throws in like 5 or 10 stacks, probably 10 stacks of money. And he goes, here's 10,000, and get to work and finish your film. He said, I think it's a good film and you should finish it. So needless to say, I think I was going to have a heart attack at 30, had an aneurysm at 59. But I'm okay. But at that point, I was like, oh, money. So I literally was on the west side of Manhattan, and I got on a bus, on the 86th Street bus, to go back to the east side where I lived. And I'm so nervous, and I'm like trying to squish it and put it in a knapsack, and and I'm on the bus. I'm on the bus with $10,000, and I'm like, what am I doing on a bus? Why did he do that to me? Why am I on the bus with $10,000? And I'm like, I guess I'm on the bus with $10,000 because this guy is pretty rowdy, and he liked the clips that I showed him of the movie, of everything. And I showed him a lot of it. And here I am. I got home. And so, yes, did I throw some on the bed for fun? Yes. Ooh, okay. And then I packed it up very quickly, put it away. Then I put it in the bank. And I just literally, what did I do with that money? I constructed a budget for myself for the next 3.5, 4 months. And eventually that money went right to where it needed to go. I paid my rent, paid my bills, and the movie got done. Then he came in, and we're going back now 30 years. And he put in another, 6 figures into the back to help with post-production. And wasn't that great for me at that time? I was so ecstatic. It just gave me hope. Imagine money and goodwill and the arts and everything. And now money, that was a nice time that back then, and money worked, and it got the film done, and people liked the movie. So it put art into the universe. And so, basically, money these days is just thrown around, and it's the corruption. I know Congress has always been corrupt, but it seems like things are so out of control. And we're talking about a trillionaire. It's like money can't be like the only thing going forward. We have to be more than money, and our love of money can't be so sickening, as you will see it on wide display. Must we have this guy that just had a TV show, and his dad started him out with a lot of money, then he ruined it on casinos, so he's a stumbling buffoon with his own money, and now although he's figuring out with his sons to do crypto, and then Musk, and then this and that. So it's like we just have to all hold on to our moorings, and not really get too caught up with it. I know I played that clip of Musk, but you're going to see more stuff like that, and it'll come up forever, money, right? Even crazy stories like that. But if we can just get over that and move on, get the midterms, get the House back, get the Senate back, get the friggin' SNAP and the WIC back, and of course the ACA subsidies extended, real things with real money. And I meant to say this before, tariffs. So that money, what does it do? So the importers pay it, and then we pay. If they can't stomach it all, they pass the rest on to us. So then our own money goes right back in to the Treasury. So then the Treasury then makes the tax breaks for the billionaires, but the Treasury, with all this new money from the tax, from this, that now they can pay the subsidies. They can extend the subsidies with this money from the tariffs. I meant to say, Trump brags about tariffs. Okay, well, good. Take the money and extend the subsidies, jackass. Don't brag and then say, oh, but we don't know what to do. And then where are you anyway? You're leaving all your little, minions out to dry, and they sure are drying up because they have no story left. Pull it together, you guys. Pull it together, everybody. So I hope they do. And look, let's stay the course. The Democrats are just trying to not only make the point, but force the subsidies to be extended, because that's going to mean a lot. Because you go off your health care, I should know. I went through craziness last year. And when you're out there, it's bad enough with food insecurity, health insurance. Let's get it all back together, and thank you guys for tuning in. And we sort of veered a little away from the news into some other issues, because I've just been hammering around the election and stuff. But let's make it a really good year coming up. Obviously, I'm going to do this 5 days a week, and 4 o'clock, and still doing donations on GoFundMe. So you could still take a photo of that guy, and definitely share. And if you can be a subscriber, it's free. It's free to be a subscriber here, guys. So just be a subscriber, and I will love you for it. So have a great day. Tomorrow's Friday. Let's see if we can end on a high note tomorrow within the context of all this insanity. We will keep finding the sunlight on the chaos. And thanks again. And you guys have a great night. Thank you.